Next up, we have Nadine Steklenski, whose career I've been following for a long time as well. Nadine, I first met Nadine when she was doing some pioneering projects at Target, building brand new brands and having really great effect there. And I was excited when she opened up her new agency, her new company, and started to kind of provide advice to kind of other retailers and other brands out there. So I wanted to, she was on top of the list when I kind of reached out to people in terms of speaking, especially in terms of kind of store experience and merchandising and building brands. And so I'm looking forward to this session when Nadine's going to take us through some of the ideas she has when it comes to store experience design. Please welcome Nadine Steklenski.
Hey, everybody. Happy Tuesday. Thank you so much, Piers, for the introduction. I hope you guys are enjoying the amazing day that Piers and the PSFK team has put together for us. I am so excited to be here to share some of my thoughts with you guys today. As Piers said, I have founded a new agency called Brand Love Lab. We are a small team of brand building experts. And one of my team members, Meredith Ernst, is going to be on chat on the YouTube Live. So if you guys have questions as I'm going through things, she will be there to try and answer them. Before owning my own firm, as Piers said, I worked for Target for about 18 years, a little over that, building brands across a wide variety of businesses within their own brand space. And I consider Target one of the best teams in retail, and I'm so grateful for that experience that I had to learn from some of the best. Prior to Target, I was at Nike and Ralph Lauren, and I was working in a design capacity. So I wanted to start today with just a quick moment of gratitude for three of my mentors. And I wanted to do this because when I think about how work gets done, nothing ever happens in isolation, and the people you surround yourself with are so important. And it's very likely that any little nugget you might take from my talk today is derived from something that one of these amazing humans taught me. So the first is Todd Waterbury. He's the Chief Creative Officer at Target and an incredibly compassionate visionary. The second is Amanda News, who's currently the VP of Corporate Responsibility and the President of the Target Foundation. Amanda was my business partner on the rebuild of Target's kids and baby brand portfolio, and she is an incredibly inclusive leader. And when I talk about some of the building blocks today, so much of what I learned came from her. She's very innovative and an incredible creative force for good. And the third is Maureen McGuire. And Maureen is a futurist and insights expert at Target. She is a secret weapon of understanding what's going on from a micro and a macro level. She synthesizes human-centered insights in a way that I've never seen. And she always creates these remarkably sticky stories, helps you take action on things that are just around the corner. So anytime I feel like I'm not being audacious enough with my ideas, Maureen is the first person I think to call. So thank you to them. Thank you to everyone that had a hand in what I'm going to talk about today. I know a lot of my Target family is supporting me today by watching, so thanks to them. So I called this talk, when we were thinking about what to discuss, I called it Designing with Generosity, Building Brands That Thrive. And I've been thinking about it a lot as I prepare to talk, because and I started thinking about how this idea of equity has been a common thread throughout my whole life. When I was a kiddo, my dad used to always say to me that I had an inflated sense of justice. And I'm pretty sure that that comment was directed at my status and behavior as a middle child. But I also like to think of it as an early recognition of who I am as a person and my desire to live in a world and create a world that's equitable for everyone. So as I got to outlining today's talk, I started wondering about this word generosity and if it is the right word for right now. I live in Minneapolis, and I watched in horror with the rest of the world as George Floyd was murdered on camera in broad daylight. Generosity doesn't likely seem like enough right now. Living in a time when so many humans are not thriving, it requires us to take a deep look at how and what we are doing is holding so many people back. And only after that reflection can we really consider how we build brands that help others rise and that thrive. Amanda and I always used to say to our teams at Target that the strategies we create should unlock the ability for everyone that walks through the door to see themselves on the shelves and in the work we create. And when you're working at the scale of a Target or a Walmart or a Nike or an Amazon, that's a vast majority of the country. That is a very broad and deep plate of people that you're serving. And so the idea of being as audacious as striving to create work for everyone, it's a super kick-ass goal. And it is, a very inspiring idea to think about. But it requires a tremendous amount of rigor and compassion, and most importantly, an awareness of your individual and team limitations and blind spots. Imagine if we dig even deeper and open our eyes just a bit wider to see all the ways that the experiences and the products and the services we create might reach more hearts. If we pivot not only to designing with generosity, but design for equity, we can collectively make some substantial change for both people and planet. My friend Maureen McGuire, who I mentioned, she always says, it's our job as designers to design a future we all want to be a part of. Our roles as creatives are powerful. We've proven time and again our ability to make the impossible possible. Why not dedicate that superpower to historical change by rebuilding our systems in an effort to hold space enough for everyone? We can do it. And if we begin designing for equity, we can do it faster. So I'm going to share 4 building blocks that I've used to build brands that are grounded in human-centered insights, purpose, and values. I'm also going to integrate some things that I've been thinking about that I believe we can do to better serve more people and amplify more voices, simply by creating a deeper, more multidimensional connection to the people we're designing for. It is by no means exhaustive, and I was thinking about this morning. I could talk about this for the full 3 days. But I've got 25 minutes, so I'm going to just four building blocks that I'm going to talk about. So the first is team. And when I think about team, the first thing I think about is leadership, and leadership presence is so important, irregardless of your level on the team. You might be the CEO or the summer intern. How you show up matters. And when I think about leaders that I admire, the common thread is that they are leading with abundance. Amanda News exemplifies this. I learned this from her. This idea of being generous with your thoughts, your time, and your ears. She once very kindly listened to me on a day that was particularly tough at work. And I needed someone who knew me to listen and understand what I was going through. And not only did she listen, she showed me that she understood what I needed to hear. And she said one little phrase that has continued to be my personal mantra. She looked at me and she said, "Head up, heart out, my dear." And that was what I needed to hear, because it made me realize how I show up for my team matters. And as long as I have my head up and my heart out, even in my tougher moments, I'm going to be a better leader for my team. If it sets the tone for the work, and if we show up paralyzed with fear from a place of scarcity, it puts the rest of the team in a position of uncertainty, and the work results mirror that energy. They always mirror the energy that you put in. So another example of leading with abundance, when I think about myself as a leader, I strive to create an environment that makes people comfortable, challenging each other, challenging me, always in service of the work. And one day at Target, after a particularly challenging review, I saw the team getting together to regroup, and I overheard a team member say, we can't do that because Nadine's not going to like it. And it was like a dagger to the heart. It meant that I wasn't showing up as the leader that the team needed me to be that day. And for those of you who know me in true Nadine fashion, I immediately wiggled up straight into the conversation, bumped my head in, and I apologized. And I made sure that the team knew that I welcomed their challenges, and I reminded them that if they were focused on making me happy and figuring out what I wanted, it meant that they weren't focused on advocating for the people that really mattered, and those are the people we serve. If we're designing for equity, we have to be comfortable confronting how things have always been done and consider if there's a new approach that might yield better results. As a seasoned leader, I definitely have my go-to answers that have served me well throughout the years. But if I'm designing for equity, I have to be open to the possibility that those go-to answers may no longer deliver on what the world needs, especially when you think about the planet. It's likely we need to reinvent the playbook. So leading with abundance, it requires strength and vision, it requires focus and relentless prioritization of the work through your purpose and vision. And if you don't have a purpose and vision, we're going to talk about that, but creating one should be number one on your priority list. You want to keep it simple, make it sticky, and repeat it often, because if people can find a personal connection to the mission and the vision and the purpose of what you're doing, they're going to do better work for you. People in positions of authority who are making the decisions for a company, often, as I said, we have our go-to answers, and often you're making decisions based on your own experience. Unfortunately, the majority of people in those positions are not people of color. And this makes it even more critical that leaders uncouple their assumptions from the decisions they make. The number of times I have sat in a design review and watched a white woman hold up a color chip to her skin and say, yeah, this color's not flattering, is more than I can count on both hands. But when we do better, when we know better, we do better. And it's your responsibility to advocate for those not in the room and for all of the people we serve. That is designing for equity. So the second pillar that I want to talk about, the second building block, is research. And research is a hidden superpower of a winning brand. One of my favorite quotes by Todd Waterbury is, "A brand is half business and half human." I learned about this concept of design feeling from Maureen McGuire, and design feeling grounds us in the human half of our brand. It's the deeply human side of the research, and it fuels our purpose. As creators, we're always looking around corners to find new ways to make ourselves useful to the world. When we apply this curiosity and drive to building a brand, it becomes more than just a collection of products. When we relentlessly work to understand the lives of who we serve, the communities they live in, and the journey through the world, the more consistently we'll deliver products and services and experiences that show them we see them, we know them, and that they matter. To take design feeling a step deeper, we can apply the idea of intersectionality. And intersectionality is that idea that people are multidimensional, and we often have multiple dimensions of privilege or oppression. We're not monolithic. And so an example of this that is very near and dear to my heart is the impact of a single graphic t-shirt. And I have to say, one of the teams at Target that is so special to me is the Target art team. They are extraordinary. They have hearts of gold and these hands of ingenuity. They really spend so much time understanding who it is they're creating work for. And they're the storytellers of our brands. when building Cat and Jack, one of Target's kids brands, we learned about just how multidimensional kids are. If you like science, it happens that it has nothing to do with your gender. Pink might be your favorite color, and again, it's not a gender issue. And one of the amazing graphic designers took that insight and that idea and made a t-shirt for Mother's Day. And it said, "Strong like Mom." And it was bought across the entire assortment from baby to big kids, boys and girls. And it was an amazing success. It was something new that we hadn't done. You know, you didn't see those type of expressions, particularly in the boys department. And so a few months after it hit, a team member brought a woman to my office and introduced her to me. She wanted to meet the team that created Cat and Jack. And she told a powerful survivor story about how she was able to escape an abusive marriage and rebuild her life as a single mom with her 3 young boys. And one day, while on a Target run, she came across a t-shirt in the boys section that said, "Strong like Mom." And you can only imagine what being seen like that felt to her that day. By putting people at the center of the work, this designer was able to capture one more heart that otherwise might have been left unseen, designing for equity. Imagine how this philosophy might be applied to the systems that perpetuate covert racist acts and microaggressions that have been normalized towards people of color who enter our retail stores. Imagine creating an experience that allows every person that walks through your door to feel truly welcome. The retail industry right now has hit a fork in the road. And anytime you have a good crucible moment, you have to spend some time weighing all that's led you to this point. What have we learned? What has changed? How have behaviors and values shifted? And we've known for many years that diversity unlocks innovation, and it also drives market growth. Our youngest generation understands this. They are the most diverse, the most tolerant, and the largest generation of Americans ever. And they use their ingenuity to disrupt the systems they disagree with. An incredible example is the viral success of the Zoomer TikTok prank that had all these kids, thousands of them, signing up for tickets to the Tulsa Trump rally in an effort to leave seats empty. It's a powerful example of how quickly this generation not only mobilizes behind an idea, but actively participates. These behaviors and beliefs apply to where they choose to spend their money as well. And they're choosing brands who use their platform for upholding truth. Who you are as a brand matters. And that gets us to the third pillar, the third building block, which is purpose. And I have another Todd Waterbury quote that I absolutely adore. He says, "We see design more than a process. It's a path. Where others see obstacles in the tension between competing visions or conflicting goals, we see the space to go somewhere new and create something better. That's leading with abundance." When I was working with Marie McGuire building strategies, brand strategies at Target, she would relentlessly ask me, "In service of what, Nadine? In service of what?" It's one of her favorite questions, and it is incredible when you're considering what the purpose of your brand is. What you are in service of needs to be more than shareholder profits or adding a comma to your bank account. You'll get those things if you first figure out who you are and why you matter. It will come. Zeroing in on a singular purpose that's memorable, audacious, and articulates who you are, and again, why you matter, should be the North Star of everything you do. If you already have this established, it's a good time to revisit and revise, because 2020 is crazy. There's a couple things going on. So, you want to think about how things have changed and how you might need to show up differently. When I was working at Target, again, building their first own brand for activewear, All in Motion, we did a tremendous amount of qualitative and quantitative research. And this is a tiny, amazing team of people with enormous hearts. And they really went out and listened to thousands of people. And we talked to people, again, across the country, and we asked them one question: well, we asked them many questions, but one of the questions we asked was to share with us what being active meant to them. And as someone who had worked for Nike, for one of the big legacy brands, I thought I knew what the answers would be. Again, as leaders, sometimes we make assumptions based on our backgrounds, our history. And so I thought I knew what the words were going to be. And when the words came back, they completely surprised me. It was words like play and connection, joy, love, positivity. They weren't serious or dominating. And it wasn't about competition or that classic idea of no pain, no gain. It was truly inspiring. And it led us down a different path. And it led us to our purpose. Thinking about humans, we all live to move. That's what we came up with. That's what we talked about. We all live to move. This defined who we were in service of, and it inspired the team to design with generosity and for equity. So the last building block that I'm going to share is about connection. And I have another Maureen quote, and I love this one as well. We need more people interested in reaching hearts. If we touch hearts, we can change minds. And I just love that, because if we do our jobs right, the purpose and the values we filter our work through are going to come to life in ways that people interacting with us will see and feel. When we launched Cat and Jack, the values we used to filter our work were internal facing only. We never shared them externally. And what was remarkable was as the work made its way into the world, people began using our words to describe what the brand meant to them. The work spoke for itself, and the people who saw that shared our vision for us. Finding solutions to fix the issues facing the retail and manufacturing industry, just thinking about it can be paralyzing. And we've been living in an industry that promotes overconsumption, fast fashion. It's set up for inventory overages and has glaring human rights issues in our manufacturing system. The consumer expects us to actively participate in systematic change in service of people and planet. And so we have to think about things differently. We can't let the complexity and the timeline stop us from doing what's right. When we developed sustainability goals for Cat and Jack, we realized that the work was going to take time to scale. But being responsible with how we sourced and made our goods was a key value for the brand. So we discussed how to move forward, knowing that it wasn't going to be something we could market effectively immediately. And again, Maureen looked at Amanda and I and said, well, there's storytelling and there's story doing. For now, you have to story do. And we just loved that. It was like a lightning bolt. When you're building a brand that's half business and half human, it's a journey. And you're not going to be able to tell every story right away. But if you take the time and build these things that are more complex, it is going to unlock your brand's purpose and deliver on those values in ways that are worth acting upon. You don't want to shut down innovation just because it's going to be difficult. I think it's important to take the time to map out your innovation pipeline so that you ensure you're staying true to your purpose and that you're exceeding people's expectations, because the stories that come out of that are the stories that are worth sharing. So, I've been driven by this belief that design can be a great equalizer for many years. It's why I chose to work for companies like Target and Nike, and it's part of why I started my own firm. The idea of being able to democratize design for all is magical. And looking back on these experiences I've had, there is so much more I wish I had done with the platform I had. Take some time to think about your platform. What more could you be doing? How might you use the platform you have right now to activate and inspire change? It's a time that is very tumultuous, and designing for equity and with generosity in our heart is crucial to the people and the communities and the planet. It's essential to create a future we all want to and get to be a part of. Thank you so much, everybody. That's what I have today. I hope that there was some good nuggets in there for you to take away. Thank you. Have a great day. Good luck.